Murder Drones just released its third episode, so today we're going to break it all down and talk about what exactly Uzi and Doll are, as they seem to be connected to the Disassembly drones in some weird, creepy way. My name is Deepcut, hit that subscribe button, and before we jump into it, I want to let you guys know that we are having a live stream Q&A with the cast of Murder Drones this Saturday, February 25th at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. With this event, we are also selling Murder Drones autographed prints over at the Streamly shop. These beautiful printed artworks of the characters come signed by their voice actors, including Elsie Lovelock as Uzi, Michael Kovac as N, and Nola Klopp as V. Links to the shop will be in the description down below. Now, the story of Murder Drones is becoming a lot more complex than I imagined when Episode 2 left off. Episode 1 introduced us to Uzi as she met N, V, and J, three disassembly drones that hunt the outside world for worker drones like Uzi and her community. They are safe behind three mechanical walls, very Attack on Titan style, and masquerade a normal existence while terror reigns outside for their worker drones who never found safety. The disassembly drones will overheat and explode without the oil of the worker drones that they were sent to destroy, a purposeful flaw put in the disassembly drones by the humans on Earth in order to stop them from creating their own society once they fulfilled their mission of destroying the native worker drones on the exoplanet. Episode 2 saw Uzi and N growing even closer together despite N's need for oil to survive. Worker drones do not need oil in this manner to survive, however, so it is possible that Uzi will be able to remove this from N and even the other disassembly drones. The episode ended with the destroyed version of J having activated a program called Absolute Solver. Disassembly drones can reconstruct themselves, but when they lack the proper pieces, this backup program activates and begins to seek out any worker drones who may have caused the damage and escaped. What is interesting, however, is that Uzi and Doll both appear to have connections to the Absolute Solver, despite both seemingly being worker drones like everyone else in their community. This third episode focused largely on Doll using her Absolute Solver powers that we first saw in episode 2 in order to attack the worker drones at prom. Doll's motivations are a bit complex, as she seems to be interested in using the Absolute Solver to fight back against the disassembly drones to get revenge, yet also seeks to do harm to her fellow worker drones. At the prom, she seems to enjoy hurting them just for fun, but when exploring her apartment, Uzi and the others discovered that she was in fact eating the worker drones, consuming their oil the same way disassembly drones do. Absolute Solver appears to be something created more recently in the history of humans and drones, specifically for the disassembly drones' attack on the worker drone colonies. While this backup program is activated when a disassembly drone is destroyed, I don't imagine it happens when it succumbs to its overheating issue, as that is purposely put there to stop the disassembly drones from continuing on. When Uzi blew up J and she could not repair herself, the Absolute Solver would activate, and just moments after this destruction, we see Uzi get hit by a wave of glitchiness that I would imagine to be the Absolute Solver infecting her programming. For J, the goal of the Absolute Solver was to lure in enough worker drones and kill them in order to entirely reconstruct J, something it was able to complete as we saw at the end of episode 3. We know that Designation V was the disassembly drone that destroyed Doll's parents, and though V walked away from this just fine, Doll's parents looked ready for battle, and I imagine other disassembly drones in the area may have been destroyed by them. Doll could have received the Absolute Solver from one of these situations, which gives her insane powers. However, it appears to also give her the same overheating issue that the disassembly drones have. Doll would thus become something of a vampire, needing to feed on her own people in order to survive. While others may want to simply end their robotic existence to not harm their friends or family, Doll has the goal of eventually being powerful enough to get revenge on the disassembly drones, as we saw at the prom. With this in mind, Uzi is at the beginning of her transition into a disassembly drone like Doll. This would make a lot of sense from a storytelling standpoint, considering how uncomfortable the situation with N is because of his need for drone oil. To have Uzi slowly infected with the virus that makes her crave this oil in a way that pleases and satisfies her the same way it does N would be a horrifying internal transformation to experience. When Doll gets Uzi's Absolute Solver activated at the end of episode 3, Doll expresses fear and concern for Uzi, who appears to be infected with a version of the Absolute Solver that is considerably more intense than the one Doll has, which is already extremely powerful and has led her to kill many worker drones. I had previously questioned how smart it was to send disassembly drones who would die of overheating to destroy worker drones, as sheltering in place long enough would lead to the death of the disassembly drones, and the workers eventually being able to return to life as usual. This absolute solver seems to be the solution to this, a program that won't recreate a disassembly drone if there is no worker drones, and can spread like a virus or disease to the local worker drones. This would make them something like sleeper agents or sleeper drones. Just one person like Doll needs to be infected, and then she alone could end up killing the entirety of her hiding population, gaining more and more power as she does so, and who knows how far this could spread. Perhaps Doll's destruction could lead to just another worker drone or even many of them getting infected. The absolute solver may spread more easily than is implied so far, and it could be a matter of time before all these robots are experiencing something of a zombie apocalypse within their little bunker, with the outside world being really no safer for them. Doll appears to be working with multiple goals, however. While she has fallen victim to Absolute Solver and now wants to eat her own people, she is trying to use the powers it gave her not to just maintain herself, but also to get revenge against the disassembly drones who caused this. She also indicated at the end of the episode that she is looking for something she hopes will also be able to help Uzi, despite wanting to murder her just moments before. Upon realizing that Uzi also had the Absolute Solver, and apparently a worse version of it, this line makes me think that she is looking for some sort of cure, something to stop the Absolute Solver and return them both back to normal. I believed a cure to the overheating would be something the characters find fast in order to stop N from having to murder any more worker bots, as it's hard to imagine the story continuing with this sort of strain on all of their relationships. However, this now appears to be a race to find a cure so that Uzi herself will not have to succumb to this dark program and eat a worker drone herself, something that would put her on a similar level as N and the disassembly drones. Despite all these cool powers, Uzi and Doll are not going to get cool transformations like the disassembly drones with their cool wings and such. The Absolute Solver is a software program, and those changes are more of a hardware thing. Absolute Solver destroyed the worker drone so that it could put Jay back together again, and presumably could use the dead parts of worker drones to give the infected sleeper drones the same wings and claws and the like, but that doesn't appear to be its goal. The power of the Absolute Solver really elevates the worker drones who are infected with it above the disassembly drones, which need their wings and claws and such for more violent hunting on the outside, whereas Absolute Solver's slow infection is more likely to make its host hide its dark actions to stay alive for as long as possible without detection. But what do you guys think? Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and while you're down there, check out the link to the Streamly shop to purchase a signed print from your favorite Murder Drones voice actor. And special thank you to LovesArt23 for drawing my brand new DeepDrone. I'll put a link to their YouTube and Twitter in the description down below as well. But before you go, don't forget to hit that subscribe button because we have a few more Murder Drones videos coming out this next week, including one about the role of Tessa, who appears to be a human tech support agent on the side of the disassembly drones. See you guys then.